Hi friends, let's take a look at old Linky, Sminky, Pinky versus the Bitcoins and versus the dollar coins, and in fact as well, just a little bit versus the Ethereum bobs as well. And what we have here is this downward trend, and it's continuing on the way. This potential that we have here for bullish divergence on the MACD, which is simply premature and simply potential, is still showing that potential. Okay, still there potential, and same with the DMI, where we could see that kind of happening. On the RSI, we very much clearly making new lows alongside these lows. The Stochastics very much doing the same thing, but we have come down to very deeply oversold territory in terms of the Stochastics. Looking here at the 24-hour time frame on this chart, which is the Coinbase chart, this is the lowest it's been in its history. So by some margin. So there we go. Do we see the potential for that alone to be giving us a little bit of hope, or are we going to have to look at the other things and say being oversold is very much a real thing, and it doesn't need to just turn around, even though it's a real concept. It doesn't just necessarily happen right there. Things can go another 10, 20, 30%. These things happen, So is it going to be like that? Or are we going to see things turning around now? Now, what would be nice would certainly be for this wedge here, which was drawn in imperfectly before, as I've spoken about so many times. I do these things to give you the confidence to be able to do them yourself. But could this be this really at this point here where it turns around? We have it coming in here, touching the lower end of the 618 retracement, coming down there at 792 for the lows for today. As we spoke about so often as being like the key area if you're looking to have a low risk management long on this thing, where you would be doing it from, or indeed where you could also have a low risk, easy to manage trade if you were shorting it from this area as well. Now, what we do have is this wedge structure, as denoted by this sort of divergence that we're prematurely saying is on the MACD down below. And while we have actually got convergence for the most part on the other oscillators. Now, if the RSI had have managed to turn around at these points, just on the 17th of September and stuff like that, up here where we were kind of, in an ascending triangle, perhaps you could have said, it would have been good, but it hasn't happened. Instead, we've just come, slaughtered on down the way here. And this then gives us the potential for a measured move, going to the two measurements off of it, all the way up to as high as taking out the 236, this Fibonacci retracement, coming in challenging these previous highs up here on the 31st of August, and that's $16 if we were to do that. But we could just be coming up here and challenging the 50 simple moving average at the top end of our rectangle here. The 55 and the 21 having crossed negatively on the 24-hour time frame versus the dollar here on Coinbase, and you can see that the prices are currently below the 144, being sandwiched between those two at the lower end of this wedge, right at the 618 off the 233 exponential moving average, showing people kind of just like, this is why I use this particular number. This as we're seeing this coming in here, is just what I'm used to using. Of course, you could that's actually at 200 whatever. I usually use 233, so you can see we're actually ways off of this. So anyway, okay, so this is perfect for the 200 as a good example for that. So eat my words, humble pie on that one. But indeed, though, could be considered fake out territory then, I suppose, in terms of any immediate move off of the back of this. As we say, it is premature here to be saying that's what we're looking at. We'd have to see this be confirmed as a local low, which is really just sort of what do you call it? Whenever looking for another word here. Thanks to everybody who told me the word the last time I was looking for one. Consummate. This time I'm looking for whenever one king takes over from another one, forces them out or whatever, takes over from them. Usurp. Yes, but that's not really it though. This one abdicated its right to be the lower low, and this one came in here, and some people say it usurped the crown, but it didn't quite. There is another word that I'm looking for there. Doesn't matter. If we see a turnaround from this point, that's all good. If we don't, then of course this is just the low being put in at some point. In which case this is the premature to say that there was potential for divergence here on the RSI, and the Stochastics is then here also on the the DMI and the MACD on this one. So, potential, if we do move down the way, looking at between, the 233 exponential moving average here, the 200 simple moving average, and the 786. I was actually quite liking using the 200. Maybe I'll move that back again. I don't know. I don't really mind. I change them around from time to time anyhow. And yeah, so the 786 there's the next number at 550, really kind of 540 if we do push past this area. But this is obviously the key one, what we kind of in some sense has been waiting for. Against Bitcoin, you can see we're in the same sort of scenario right now with this wedge or structure on the go, having moved outside of the pitchfork in the background, bearing in mind that this pitchfork was already like an inside pitchfork. It was drawn in between these two lows. At some point, we could be able to put in a different one, change it up if we like to. For instance, you've got this sort of a thing here. If we come down and confirm this as a low, or indeed perhaps, at some point we then see that this turns into some other sort of upward sloping pitchfork even for us, if we want to keep on even using pitchforks at all, really, because this was previously drawn in between the one area and another, and time has moved on. So we can check this out. We'll check back in with it over time. Come on. I want this to be, it's an inside pitchfork. Wait, chef. Inside, that's it. Now that's better trading view. I knew I caught you doing something wrong. So looking at this, if we do get above the 236, this is where we've got our lows currently. If we get above the 236 at 96,000, then we could things would get quite tasty. 73,000 is going to be key for us. If we go down below that area, then I think that things get quite tasty for us. That's where in and around about the 233, and then a measured move off the back of this thing could take us down or take us up in either direction to tasty enough targets. Let's just stick a move on here. So say we came up towards the top end and broke through, you'd be looking up, this is all very rosy picture stuff. And towards the downside, you're looking down and it's very gloomy picture stuff. In terms of these extensions, we could do another one here, clone it on, just so you've got to see, so you can see where we are in relation to how this has all been going. But this is not necessary at this point. It's kind of old now. But so cool. That's where we are. That'll do. Check out the Look Around the Markets episode. It's quite a good one, I think you'll find. And just to note, by the way, the extension of this thing comes in at 73,000. I should have said so, but I thought that was obvious. I was going to look at Ethereum as well. Well, it's the same story, right? Same story. It really is shaping up to be. We've got this convergence here on the stochastics right in at this oversold territory, which is probably as most oversold as it's been really for the longest time. Yeah, so we know that we're in deep lows here. It has been lower in the past a couple of times on this particular exchange, which is Binance for Link Ethereum. But so it's a similar sort of story anyhow. If we see this convergence here, but we could have, in terms of this low and this low being a higher low, right, in terms of the big structure here. This is the key that people will be looking for, I suppose. Looking at this bigger structure here, just generally, roughly speaking, of this thing. If this comes down here and manages to not break down below this area here, putting in an equal or a higher low at some point. So really, this could just be a horizontal line for us. You can see the significance of this line here, can't you? I imagine you can. Should we not manage to go down below it, then we would quite likely potentially have hidden bullish divergence on a very big broad term time frame thing. If we don't know, then of course we're looking at this coming down here being convergent, very much burning off all of this upward movement that we've had over the last wee while, and we'll consider different things again, like the downward wedge and other stuff. We've had a pretty strong trend towards the downside, but we know we've had turnaround points, and we know that we can manage our trading quite easily in this area. We've spoken about that in detail in this episode. So yeah, check out the Look Around the Markets episode. It's quite a good one. Check where you got VeChain, Tron, Harmony One. What else did I do? I mean, I did quite a few. Lend. Anyway, you got these altcoins that I'm looking at in that one, and of course a brief overview of Bitcoin, Ethereum, Chainlink, and Tezos as well. And I'm going to go on and do the Tezos episode just now. But thanks so much for tuning in. YouTube.com/Rocky Outcrop to share it with your friends. And there's a Bitcoin giveaway that I'm doing at the minute. Just leave a comment saying "Rocky, you rock," and you'll be entered into that. Someone winner will be chosen at random at the end of the month. Yada yada yada. You've seen these things before. It's not a huge amount of money. It's just 10 satoshis for every view the channel gets over the period of the month of September. So catch you next time. Thanks so much for tuning in. Really do appreciate it. Yeah, cool. Excellent. See you then.